My entitled boss stood over my hospital bed, his face pale as a ghost, while two police officers clicked handcuffs around his wrists. Just hours earlier, he had laughed in my face, claiming my life-threatening medical condition was just drama and a pathetic excuse to be lazy. He thought his title gave him the right to assault me. He thought his mommy's net worth and legal connections would save him. He was wrong. He didn't know that his physical attack on me wasn't just a workplace violation, it was attempted manslaughter. He also didn't know that when his mother tried to bribe me into silence, a hidden camera in my living room was recording every single word. Watch how this golden child and his delusional mother instantly regret crossing me, losing their careers, their freedom, and their reputation in a storm of glorious legal instant karma. To understand how this nightmare unfolded, you have to understand the medical reality I live with every single day. I'm not just sensitive to chemicals, I have a severe medically documented anaphylactic allergy to alcohol-based products, hand sanitizer, antiseptic wipes, certain soaps. If they touch my skin, I break out in hives. If I inhale the fumes or, God forbid, ingest it, my throat closes up, my lips swell to 3 times their size, and my airways shut down. I carry an EpiPen everywhere I go because a squirt of Purell is literally a loaded gun to me. For years, this wasn't an issue. My old boss was my cousin, a great guy who understood my condition. He kept the office safe, and I was a top performer. But then COVID hit, my cousin got promoted and transferred, and our branch got a new manager. Let's call him Gary. Gary was the definition of delusional. He was a micromanager who thought rules existed to be enforced blindly without context or logic. When the corporate office sent out the new return to office COVID safety mandates, it included a clause about mandatory hand sanitizer use every time we entered the building. I immediately did the responsible thing. I drafted a professional email to HR department from OP subject medical exemption for sanitizer protocols. Attached are my medical records, a letter from my immunologist, and my history of anaphylaxis regarding alcohol-based solvents. I will continue to use my own medical-grade soap and wash my hands for the required 20 seconds, but I cannot use the alcohol gel provided at the entrance. HR was great. They replied within an hour. Confirmed. We have placed a medical exemption in your file. You are not required to use the gel. Wash your hands as usual. Stay safe. I thought that was the end of it. I forwarded this chain to Gary just to keep him in the loop. Gary didn't care about facts. Gary cared about control. He replied at 11:30 p.m. that night. I don't care what HR says. In this office, I am the authority. All employees must follow safety procedures, no exceptions. If you want to work here, you follow my rules. My heart hammered against my ribs as I read it. I could feel the anxiety rising, that specific financial panic you get when you realize your livelihood is in the hands of a moron. I replied calmly, reiterating that using the product would require immediate medical assistance. Gary fired back, "If you refuse to follow procedure, you will be terminated for insubordination." I didn't reply to him. Instead, I forwarded everything to our union representative and the head of HR. They told me to come in, do my work, and ignore him unless he physically tried to stop me. They promised to have a chat with him later that week. Unfortunately, later was too late. I walked into the office building the next morning, my stomach in knots. I had my own soap in my bag. I was ready to head straight to the restroom, scrub up, and get to work. But Gary was waiting. He was standing right in front of the turnstiles, blocking the path to the elevators. In his hand, he held a large industrial pump bottle of generic 70% alcohol hand sanitizer. He had a smirk on his face that made my blood run cold. "Good morning," Gary said, stepping in front of me. "Hands out." I stopped keeping my hands in my pockets. "Gary, we discussed this. I have an exemption. I'm going to the bathroom to wash my hands with my soap." "Not good enough," he sneered, shaking the bottle. "I'm not having you infect my office because you think you're special. Hands out now, or you can turn around and walk out the door for good." I looked around. The lobby was mostly empty. "Gary, I am not doing this. I will go into anaphylactic shock. Do not touch me." "You're such a liar," he laughed. It was a cruel, dismissive sound. My sister says she's allergic to gluten, but she eats pizza when she's drunk. You're just being difficult. I tried to step around him. Move, Gary. No! He shouted, his face turning red. He grabbed my wrist. His grip was incredibly strong, digging into my skin. Let go! I yelled, panic setting in. It's just soap, you baby! With his other hand, he slammed the pump down. A massive glob of clear alcohol-reeking gel landed squarely on the back of my hand. He didn't stop there. He forcefully rubbed his hand over mine, smearing the sanitizer into my skin before I could pull away. See? He smirked, releasing me. That wasn't so bad, was it? The reaction was almost instantaneous. First, it was the heat. My skin felt like it had been dipped in acid. Then came the smell. The sharp chemical sting of alcohol filled my nose. My throat seized up. It felt like a fist was closing around my windpipe. I wheezed, clutching my throat. I turned to run toward the bathroom to wash it off, but Gary stepped in front of me, blocking the way. Oh, stop the drama. You're not going to the bathroom to wash off the safety protocols. Go to your desk. I can't breathe, I gasped. My vision started to swim. My lips felt tight, rapidly swelling. I clawed at my pocket for my EpiPen, but my hands were shaking so violently I dropped my bag. Pick that up, Gary commanded, looking annoyed. God, you are pathetic. Stop faking it. I fell to my knees. The lobby ceiling spun. I could hear the blood rushing in my ears. I saw the security guard running over his radio in hand, shouting something I couldn't hear. Gary was still standing over me, looking at his watch. If you're not at your desk in 2 minutes, I'm writing you up. That was the last thing I heard before the darkness took me. I woke up to the rhythmic beeping of machines. I was in a hospital room, an IV line taped to my arm, and my throat felt like it had been scrubbed with sandpaper. Sitting in the chairs opposite my bed weren't my family members, but 2 people in expensive suits. One was the head of HR, the other was the company's general counsel. As soon as they saw me open my eyes, the lawyer leaned forward. OP, thank God you're awake. We are here to ensure you receive the best care. All medical expenses are covered by the company naturally. They were terrified. They knew a lawsuit was coming. Where is he? I croaked. Gary has been terminated effective immediately, the HR rep said, her voice shaking slightly. Police were called to the scene by the lobby security guard. The footage, it was disturbing. They took him into custody at the office. The police visited me an hour later. They took my statement. Gary was being charged with assault and reckless endangerment. Because of the severity of my reaction and the fact that I had documented proof that he knew it could kill me, the charges were serious. But the drama wasn't over. A few days later, I was discharged. I was resting at home, still weak, when my doorbell rang. I checked the camera. It was an older woman dressed in a sharp blazer, looking impatient. I opened the door, leaving the chain on. Can I help you? I'm Gary's mother, she announced, pushing a business card through the crack. It identified her as a solicitor lawyer at a prestigious firm. We need to talk. Now. I let her in, but I made sure she sat in the living room, directly in front of the bookshelf, where my sister-in-law had left her dog cam. It was a motion-activated camera with audio, and it was rolling. She didn't ask how I was. She didn't apologize. She pulled a checkbook out of her Louis Vuitton bag. Gary's a good boy with a bright future, she said, her voice dripping with condensation. He made a mistake in the heat of the moment trying to enforce company policy. He shouldn't have his life ruined by a hypersensitive employee. He almost killed me, I said flatly. He didn't know. She waved her hand dismissively. He did know. I sent him the emails. HR sent him the emails. She sighed, tearing a check out. Look, this is going to family court for custody of his kids if he goes to jail. He'll lose everything. I am prepared to offer you $10,000 cash right now. In exchange, you will drop the charges and tell the police it was a misunderstanding, that you accidentally applied the sanitizer yourself. You want me to lie to the police? I want you to be smart. She smiled a shark-like grin. Take the money, don't be greedy. If you pursue this, I will bury you in legal fees. I know everyone in this town. I will make sure you never work in this industry again. She was so entitled, so sure that her net worth and status could erase her son's crimes. "Get out of my house," I said. She stood up, sneering. "You'll regret this. You're making a powerful enemy." As soon as she left, I called my father-in-law. He isn't a lawyer, but he's wealthy, connected, and the scorched earth type. He put me in touch with a criminal prosecutor. We submitted the dog cam footage. The police were very interested in a registered solicitor attempting to bribe a witness and obstruct justice. The fallout has been absolute and delicious. First, let's talk about Gary. His defense of "I was just following protocol" crumbled the moment the security footage was played in court. It showed him physically restraining me and blocking my path to safety. He took a plea deal to avoid a longer sentence. He was sentenced to 6 months in jail. He'll likely be out in 3 for good behavior, but it doesn't matter. He has a violent criminal record now. In our industry, background checks are mandatory. He is unhireable. More importantly, the restraining order I have against him is permanent. Now for his mother, the solicitor. My father-in-law sent the footage of her bribe attempt to the Legal Services Board. While she wasn't criminally charged because she worded things vaguely enough to avoid a direct bribe conviction in criminal court, the Bar Association has different standards. She was fired from her prestigious firm. The investigation into her ethics is ongoing, but rumor has it she's looking at disbarment, or at the very least a suspension that will end her career. She tried to play the golden child game for her son, and it cost her everything. As for me, I didn't sue Gary personally. He's broke and divorced. Now his wife left him when the jail sentence came down. But the company, they were terrified of a lawsuit. They gave me a significant raise, a retention bonus, and best of all, a permanent work-from-home contract. I am literally the first employee in the company's history to have a full WFH setup, guaranteed for the next 5 years. I'm sitting here in my home office, safe from allergens, making more money than ever. Meanwhile, Gary is sitting in a cell and his mother is sitting in a disciplinary hearing. Sometimes you don't need to seek revenge. Sometimes you just need a hidden camera and EpiPen and enough patience to let the trash take itself out. Would you have taken the $10,000 bribe, or was seeing them ruined worth more? Let me know in the comments.